Namaste, friends. So this weekend I'm doing a yoga event on Kona side, yoga, swim, and meditate, and we're gonna do some hatha yoga classes with some meditation and some restorative yoga after lunch. And we've added a vegetarianism class to the free lunch that we're giving out. And so I just wanted to, since I'm coming up with a little class for the group, I thought I wanted to maybe give you guys some insight into vegetarianism as well. Maybe you've heard about it or thought about it, but I wanted to compile sort of the different aspects of it and the information that I know about the subject matter so that you can have a more broader understanding of it also. So generally there's three different areas or subject matters when we talk about vegetarianism. We're talking about three different levels of impact. So we're talking about health of the physical body, of yourself, my body and your body. We're talking about environment, so health of the planet and what is the impact of that. And we're talking about the animals themselves, their lives and the pain and suffering that's inflicted on them. So just starting with the physical health of the body itself. A lot of people think, oh, well, you need protein, and if you go vegetarian, where you're going to get your protein. And there's a lot of information by the AMA or whoever organizations that are heavily promoted within Western society, especially in the U.S., saying that you need meat and that it's very important for your diet and you need to be healthy. And there's even a book my dad used to read called Eat Right for Your Blood Type, that says, oh, well, if you got this type of blood, you need meat, otherwise you're gonna get, it's bad, you're gonna get sick or whatever. It's better for you. And so there's a movie out there, documentary I heavily recommend, called Forks Over Knives, and it follows this two doctors, Dr. Colin Esselstyn and this Professor T. Colin Campbell, a professor of biochemistry. And they both have two different life paths, but they end up converging upon the same conclusion in the movie. And Dr. Esselstyn is doing a lot of coronary heart surgeries where he opens up people's hearts and he cuts open their heart and cuts the leg open. He gets a little vein from the leg, and this is when people are basically, their arteries are becoming blocked by all this cholesterol because of the diet, and so they're having a heart attack. And so he opens up the heart and he bypasses it, puts a little vein from the leg around the blocked artery so that they can continue living. And he was doing this for so many people, but it wasn't addressing the actual cause of the problem. And so he wanted to look more into the effects of diet and what was causing these different things. And then T. Colin Campbell, he came from the aspect of, he grew up on a dairy farm, and he was in the Philippines trying to feed malnourished children, and he found that in the children that were not malnourished, that came from wealthy families, which the wealthy families predominantly were able to afford meat and dairy, like more of a Western diet. And in those families, the children had much higher rate of liver cancer. In fact, he found no liver cancer in the children who were malnourished. It was only the kids that were from the wealthy families that had started the Western diet. He started noticing these different cancers, liver cancer. And so this put him on a scientific journey to find out more about the correlation between cancer and animal protein. And what he found was, he did a study. There was a study done in India, and he recreated the study with rats, where they would feed the rats 20% animal protein, and then they would feed another group 5% animal protein, 20% of the diet, meaning 1/5 of the diet animal protein, whether milk or dairy or meat. And when the rats were fed 20% protein, cancer started growing. And then when they were fed 5% protein, there was no cancer. And so they did another study where they would switch it back and forth. Every time they would put up the animal protein to 20%, cancer would grow. When they would put it to 5%, cancer would stop growing. So he found this was like huge for his own awakening, but he needed something more to be able to apply this to the general population. And so there was a study done in China. There was one of the leaders in China in the 1970s who he had got cancer, and he knew he was going to die, and so he wanted to conduct a thorough examination of how this is coming about. So he did one of the giantest researches done in China and in the planet, really. He got over 650,000 researchers to compile all the mortality info in all of the different provinces in China. How many deaths by cancer? So they have all this information. And so then this information was presented, and T. Colin Campbell came. This was after the Cold War, when Chinese were just allowed to visit again. And so they visited the researchers with T. Colin Campbell and the Chinese guy who had the study, had the information. And they compiled it all, and they found out that there's all these different provinces were having this huge or higher rates of cancer. And so T. Colin Campbell went in and he got them to do another study. Let's look at the diet. And so they got all these researchers to go out in the provinces in China and see what is the diet, what is the difference. And they found that in all the provinces where meat had been introduced into the diet, the higher the meat in the diet, the higher the rate of cancer. The higher the meat, the higher the rate of cancer. All meat, cancer was higher. Low meat, low cancer. Medium meat, medium cancer. Exactly correlated. And so he came to the conclusion that just as cigarette smoke is correlated with lung cancer, similarly eating meat is correlated with cancer, different cancers in the body, and it's the same percentage. So, and that may be difficult to digest or comprehend, and you may want to say no, it's not true. But I mean, you can continue believing whatever you want to believe to defend your desire to enjoy your senses. But ultimately, you have to look at the bigger implication of the issue. How is this affecting not only your health, but the health of the planet and the health and the lives of and the well-being of other living entities? So the second aspect is how is it affecting the environment? Well, there's a movie out there called Cowspiracy I highly recommend, and this delves into the environmental aspect of it, which is basically it comes down to a water footprint. I mean, there's also the fact that the Amazon is being destroyed at a rate of 1 football field per second for animal agriculture, for grazing of cows and cattle and different other animals to be slaughtered. So I mean, that's bad. That's not sustainable. That's going in the wrong direction. Cutting the trees down, destroying habitat for all these rare endangered species and medicinal plants. But the main thing what's affecting California right now, the drought. What do we need to survive? We need water. So we look at the water footprint. We look at a water footprint. Water footprint means how much water is being completely consumed in the resulting product. So you look at how much water is used to feed, drink, and bathe these animals, during their life. I don't even know if they bathe them, but how much water they feed them, how much water is used to produce the grains that they feed them and that they drink, all over the life of an animal until the point of slaughter. And then you divide it by how many whatever burgers you make, and you come out to 600 gallons of water per hamburger. 600 gallons. Now it's a little bit less for pork and chicken, but it's still outstanding, something like 100, 200, 300 gallons of water per pound of actual meat, of actual product. And so you look at that, and you look at all these different water-saving things we're doing, like changing our faucets and bulbs and turning water off when we leave. We save maybe 50, 100 gallons a year and per person. And then you go out and you buy one hamburger, that's 600 gallons. If you were to look at that on a chart, which they show in the movie, that's enough water to flood the whole neighborhood. 600 gallons. And that's how much you're using every time you buy one burger. So it's incredibly unsustainable. It's a major contributor to global warming, the animal agriculture business, the methane, mainly because of the digestive system of the cows and cattle. And so what we're doing is we're cutting down all the trees on the planet, and we're grazing animal agriculture so we can make this huge business. And it's impacting our health negatively. It's impacting the environment negatively. And if you look at, we used to eat a lot less meat, but it's just become more and more part of our diet. And as it's increased, all these different degenerative diseases, coronary heart disease, diabetes, cancer, has gone up as well. And you also look at the environmental devastation. It's increasing. The Amazon's getting cut down. So it's definitely a huge issue. And the reason that it's not talked about or widely publicized by politicians, etc., the animal agriculture industry is a huge million, trillion, billion, whatever it is, dollar industry. Just like Monsanto wants to keep GMOs not labeled, just like anyone with power wants to keep that power. They don't want you to know the truth. Similarly, the animal agriculture industry will do whatever it takes to prevent this information from getting to the public, because they would rather have you just be ignorant. Therefore, you can continue buying meat. They make money, then you get sick. Then they make money by selling you the drugs to keep you sick. And so that's what it is. It's a cycle. It's not about getting you well and better so you don't have to buy drugs. They make money off of you being in a continually sick situation. So what you can do about that is you have to actually step it up and say, what am I doing? Do I actually care about the planet? Do I care about myself? Do I care about others enough to actually change my diet? It's very difficult to change the diet. I've tried it. It was easier for me to go vegetarian than to change my diet from like not eating like immediate foods, that you can just grab out of the fridge and eat. Actually, like slowing down to cook a meal. It's very healthy for you, very wholesome. So in Forks Over Knives, they recommend a whole foods plant-based diet. This is also very recommended in Chinese medicine. Hot food. You can do some grains. A lot of people are gluten-free nowadays. I try to avoid refined sugar. Avoid most gluten is GMO. In Europe, it's a little better. But mainly, you want plants. You want a variety of plants. You want a different colorful spectrum. You can go to vegan bodybuilding and fitness.com if you're looking for information on how to get a whole round-based vegetarian diet, because a lot of people just transition right over from meat. They have no idea. They're going to eat mac and cheese, peanut butter and jelly, and salad, and you're going to get sick because you don't have a well-rounded diet. You got to have everything. You got quinoa, you got seitan, you got all these different beans, you've got all these different grains, all these different nuts, all these different fruits, all these different vegetables. I mean, you look at how many are on the planet, it's massive, so you can just continually combine and get new awesome foods, and it's very, very nice. And you have no impact on the environment, or little to no impact, and you're not increasing the suffering of other living entities, and you are also staying healthy and keeping your body healthy.